What's up, beautiful people? Maria here. Been a while since I made a video. Feel like I start a lot of videos off that way because I go through phases and cycles of putting myself out there and then reclusing for a bit. And that's just how I roll. So just feeling called to share some feels and things I've been going through recently, because I know at least one person out there will resonate with it. And if nothing else, it helps me get it off my chest in a space that feels safe to me, because right now it's just me, myself, and I in my car. And then depending on who listens to this, well, hopefully you get whatever you need out of this message. So feeling a lot of feels around my birthday coming up in 2 days. And I don't know, birthdays are one of those things that I have recognized with people. We either love them or hate them. There's kind of like not this, I mean, maybe there's an in-between, but I either hear people tell me they love their birthday or people like don't even want to acknowledge it, kind of thing. I was raised in a very loving home where birthdays were very much celebrated. My mom always, baked us a cake, put banners up, balloons. So birthdays were, a big deal in my house. And it's just funny because I was driving today and just in sort of a self-reflection mode. Surprise, surprise. And I was like, yeah, my mom always celebrated birthdays because my mom celebrates life. Like, my mom is just one of those people that, even though she goes through challenges and hard times, she recognizes the gift, the beauty that life brings us, the human experience. So I feel like that's why birthdays were always celebrated in my house. And also, I know my mom looked at myself and my brother as gifts, right? So part of it was probably her own celebration of us coming into the world. So just brought another layer of gratitude again in for my mom, and just always making it a special day. So, with that, with my birthday always being a special day, I grew up with that same mindset. I loved my birthday. I loved that extra love I'd get from people, text messages and messages on social media, all of that. Like that, it just made me feel loved. Probably a part of my ego enjoyed the recognition, if I'm to be honest. But when I really break it down, yeah, birthdays were special. And I like making them special for other people that enjoy their birthday. Because like I said, not everybody looks forward to their birthday. And I get that, there's so many factors that play into that, how we were brought up, and some people have trauma that happened on their birthday. So there's a multitude of reasons why we as humans either love or hate our birthday. So flashback to a year ago, my birthday last year. I was in this weird space with it. I was still excited for it, but didn't want to be recognized at all on my birthday because I was in this this mindset of breaking the illusion of space and time, right? I've been kind of on that journey for a couple of years of really breaking the illusion of space and time. And I know that birthdays feed the illusionary reality that we age. And last year I was gung-ho about reverse aging and, not getting older in a sense, and not out of a fear state, but just out of wow, I'm becoming a conscious creator. And why can't I reverse age, right? It's a thing. It's legit. People do it. So last year I was funny about my birthday. I took it off Facebook so people, didn't reach out to me, and really kind of told everybody, don't wish me a happy birthday. But it wasn't in this negative way. It was look, I know you guys don't get me, but I'm trying to break the illusion of space and time and this aging process that we've created as a reality here. So that was last year. However, I still allowed my loved ones, my close people, to celebrate it and celebrate me. Now, here we are this year, and I've had a lot of awakenings happen to me in the last year. awakenings, or to put it quite simply, remembering who I am, remembering things about my life that my ego buried deep into my subconscious and unconscious. But my body always held those memories, right? Well, last year, a lot of those memories came flooding to the surface, and I did make a video about it, I think in August, on our YouTube, and it was a very personal, vulnerable share about the memories that started flooding back to me last July, about my time in Colombia. For those of you that don't know, I was born there and I was adopted. Came here to the States when I was about 14 months old, and lived a very loving life with my family here. But never knew that part about me. Never really knew much about my past other than my birth mom's name, and that she put me up for adoption because she couldn't afford to keep me. And that was basically it. Father's name unknown. Very minimal medical records, of course, from Colombia. So there was much of that first part of my life that has always been a mystery. And I remember a medium telling me probably about 6 years ago, I had a reading before I started diving deep into my capabilities of doing this. And I remember her, I can clear as day, remember her saying to me, "Do you know anything about your birth parents? Do you know anything about your origin?" And I'm like, "No, not really." And she's like, and I just, like, I can see the stare she was giving me, probably something I do to clients now, but I can see it so clearly. And she was like, "Someday you'll know all of it." And I was just like, okay, that's sort of ominous. And she was right. So these memories started flooding back last July, shortly after the movie The Sound of Freedom came out. I hadn't seen it yet, but I feel that the energy of that movie coming out was what catapulted my remembering. A flash back to a few years prior, I started getting little memories started coming in about my conception. I was shown I was not conceived in love. I was shown I was conceived essentially in a rape, right? And so I'm sure there's many people out there that this part of my story will resonate with. People that were not conceived will say in love, right? Maybe you guys hate your birthdays. I could see why, because that feeling is starting to come up a little bit for me this year. When you look at the whole, like, why we were created kind of thing, and to realize a lot of times it wasn't the physical act, we'll say. Let's put it this way. This is what's kind of coming in from my higher self. The physical act may not have been love. The higher plan, the higher agreement was love. Profound. That just dropped in. So, anywhoozy, a couple of years ago, I remember I was like taking a bath, and I tend to have a lot of profound stuff come to me when I'm in water, whether it's the bath, the shower, the pool, wherever. Water, I mean, it's a conduit, and I am Pisces, so I am water sign, but it seems that like a lot of stuff floods back to me when I'm in the water. And yeah, I was taking a bath a couple of years ago and sort of just slipped into a shamanic journey and was shown, I saw my birth mom's face and was told she's since passed. And then I was shown literally my conception very, very quickly, like enough to know that I was conceived via rape. And so it was like, okay. So that brought up a lot of paternal wounding, we'll say, patriarchal energy. So sat with that for some time, some years, integrated that remembering into me, healed through it. And then as we heal through a layer, we remember something else deeper of that layer. And that's what happened to me last year. It literally felt like it came out of the blue because I was not seeking these answers. it literally, I remember I was like in my bedroom. I think I was putting laundry away, to be honest. All of a sudden I felt this super sick feeling in my body, anxiety, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? Like, nothing externally triggered this, so what's going on here? So I remember going and sitting like on the side of my bed and just like, breathing through it, deep breathing through it. And the more I was breathing, the more I was kind of dropping sort of into meditation. And then the information, the memories started flooding to the surface, and I was being shown that essentially I was being tortured in Colombia for some time in many, many grotesque type ways. And it was showing me, or I was showing me, my higher me was showing my human me, this was part of my path, that my soul knew exactly what it signed up for, what it was going into, and it was part of helping to heal the reptilian bloodline. Some of you watching this may have no idea what that means, and other people will know what that means. The reptilians are a consciousness and energy that cohabitates this earthly realm with us. They are part of the seeding of humanity. They are part of the experiment of the earth plane. They are what a lot of people would say darker, denser, more evil energies. They're just a consciousness, and a lot of the reptilians are embodying fear consciousness, okay? That's how I truly understand it. And so these memories started coming back really fast in July. It was like, almost like, how did you ever forget this, right? Because I felt it. It was truth. It was, nobody could ever tell me otherwise now. It is my truth. I know it with every fiber, every core of my being that this happened to me. I was tortured. I'll use the word once, for lack of better terms, adrenochromed, okay? Certain aspects of me were taken to feed a reptilian narrative on this earth plane. My light was taken by the dark. My light knew it was going to be taken by the dark. So I gave my light to the dark, okay? For a much deeper and higher purpose. So when these memories started filling my body, we'll say, I immediately went into like an ego state. Is this all in my head? Even though my body was literally telling me it was true in every way. My head wanted to deny it. My ego, the part of me that buried it so long ago to hopefully never remember it again, was fighting it. So what did I do? I reached out to my soul sister, Samantha, who I knew could just give me some clarity. And all I did was I texted her and I basically just said, I need to know if these memories that are surfacing right now are true. That's it. That's all I said to her. I got a response within probably 15 seconds. And she said, unfortunately, yes. And I'm feeling a sick feeling in my throat and stomach right now. I was like, okay, it's all I needed to know. So I can now embrace this as truth and figure out what I'm meant to learn from this experience, even though there was a part of me that already knew what was happening and why the remembering was coming back. So that was July. That was a lot that was a lot to swallow. Then I went to a retreat type festival in New Mexico in September and did a sweat lodge for the first time. And that is shortly before I made my first video about this trauma that happened. I went into a sweat lodge. You know, I knew it was going to be a place to release. Had no idea that the memories that came back in July still had quite a hold on me. I felt like I had processed them, which I had up until what I could process, right? So I did the sweat lodge. All of it came flooding once again to the surface in the sweat lodge with multiple people present holding beautiful space for me. And that was powerful. Like, that was one of the most transformative experiences I have ever gone through. To have such a safe, sacred space held for me while I am divulging some of the darkest agendas that take place on this earth plane. So that was shifting, we'll say. And here we are now. So now rewind to a month ago, almost to the day. Yesterday was a month. While I've been sitting with all of these memories and bits and pieces coming back a little bit more vividly, you know, and feeling them, acknowledging them, forgiving while simultaneously still holding a lot of anger towards the system. This has been one of the hardest things to work through, is the anger. Because anybody that's watched any of my other videos knows that anger is like, one of those emotions that, I hate feeling it. I hate expressing it. I've been on the receiving end of anger, the majority of my whole life. Because that is what a lot of the energy, the consciousness that was driving what was done to this body of mine, there was anger. The reptilian energy is anger. Wow, literally a car just drove by that said freedom as I was saying that. Signs, everywhere signs. So anger has been one of those things that has always been in my reality externally. I have attracted a lot of situations where anger was projected, taken out on me. So I then created a story that anger is bad, right? Then I actually had a fear of anger, a fear of my own anger and a fear of the world's anger. And I've really been learning to embody, embrace, recognize that it's just another emotion, and that I've actually been feeling angry a good part of my life, which is honestly was part of my awakening when my body completely decided to shit the bed on me, because I had been harboring so much anger and pain, right, and not expressing it because I thought that made me a bad individual if I expressed it. And I've just really learned in this last year, expressing it is so freaking important. Finding a safe place, a therapeutic way to express it where we're actually not projecting it onto people, is the most cathartic way to move any emotion through us. I'm saying anger because that's what I'm talking about. That's a big part of my backstory. So a month ago, little over a month ago, I started getting strong guidance to have Sam do a regression hypnotherapy session for me. And I needed to be brought back to those first 14 months of my life. I actually need to be brought back to conception to really know and remember everything, because I needed it in my conscious awareness so I can forgive it. We can't forgive what we don't know our body is carrying. We can't forgive what we don't know our subconscious mind, our unconscious mind is carrying, right? But we carry it. It becomes part of us when we don't know. So I'm one of those, since my spiritual awakening, all about the shadow work, all about what don't I know about me? What's in my shadow? Because also in my shadow are all of my spiritual gifts. There's such beauty in the shadow too. So a little over a month ago, I was going through other things that were bringing this paradigm up for me again. The whole child thing, the not wanting kids in this lifetime, the guilt and shame of not wanting kids, and where did that feeling come from? Because I have felt like that since I was a kid, that I never wanted to have kids. And then being on birth control for 18 years because I didn't want kids. So all of this shit started coming up at the end of January because, well, I found out my birth control wasn't going to be covered anymore. And I'm like, all right, sign from the universe, got it. Here I'm such a strong proponent on natural care, not taking pharmaceuticals. I haven't taken any pharmaceutical drug in several years now. But yet here I still was on birth control, right? Totally negating that. Knowing what it does to the body, right? So higher self was like, all right, you're due to have your birth control, because I had the implant in my arm, due to have it changed in January, and all of a sudden it's not covered. Okay. So I played the game where I was going to fight it a little bit, even though I intuitively knew what I was going to choose for myself. I was going to choose love. I was going to choose to show another layer of self-love to my body and trust in the universe that if I don't want to get pregnant, I don't have to get pregnant in this life. So that was a lot. But while all this is coming up, I'm getting guidance like, it would help if you had Sam regress you to those 14 months so you can really see it all, but see it from the higher perspective, not as the traumatized child that's going through it. So that's what we did on February 5th. We did like a probably 3.5 hour, very intense regression. I was very much in my heart space for the majority, almost the entirety of it, meaning I was literally able to witness everything that was happening to me, but not basically how I do readings for people. I'm not like a hollow bone, the clear channel. So even when I'm shown like the most traumatic, darkest things, I don't fall apart and become emotional, my human self, because it's like I don't want to say there's a disconnect, but there's a disconnect from the human emotion. So I can literally see it from the perspective of my higher self, the higher perspective, the soul perspective, source, God, creator, universe perspective, outside of human emotion. And I even remember like Sam saying at one point, like, you are so in your heart right now. And I'm like, I know, I can feel it. Like, it felt so empowered to be able to witness this deeply traumatic shit happening right from the get-go. And it was basically shown my birth mom and father again, because she literally regressed me back to conception. Even before that, I connected with my soul before incarnating. So it's like I was literally like rewind all the way right before you incarnated kind of deal. It was wild. So she literally walked me through like each month up to 14 months. And it was so healing and so powerful, but so much information came through that I knew my human self was eventually going to process in the weeks to come, months to come, perhaps years to come. And so it was a lot. And literally the next day, my mother-in-law died, my husband's mom. So it was like immediately into that emotional experience. So I'm not certain that I have fully even processed that regression yet. I just heard you haven't. This is part of it. Like, me sharing this is actually part of me processing it. So thank you for anybody that takes the time and energy to listen to this. Also understand that I'm not sharing this from a victim perspective. I'm not sharing this so people feel sorry for me. Quite the opposite. Please don't feel sorry for me. Please hear me and feel where this is coming from. This is literally coming from love for myself, love for anyone that goes through any of these kinds of things. We signed up for a freaking challenging, beautiful, painful, lovely experience here on this, in this earth realm. We really did. Like, we are fucking so strong and courageous for what we have agreed to come and do. And so I'm not sharing this from, oh, woe is me, poor me. I'm sharing this from, holy shit, I like super understand me now and how I've been my whole life. And maybe it'll help somebody else understand their own self or other people, right? We are all carrying so much. Every single one of us. You look around, look at a stranger, you have no idea what they're going through in their now reality, what they've been through, or what they're maybe about to go through. We carry so much. And even when our conscious awareness, which the majority of us are only operating off of 5% conscious awareness, whoa, even when the conscious awareness doesn't acknowledge it or remember it, the body knows, the subconscious mind knows, the soul knows. Every part of us knows it as truth. That's why when rememberings come in for me that are like this, nobody could tell me any different. People would be like, oh, yeah, like you remember back to when you were born. Or you remember, it's like, yeah, I do. I do now. And the regression hypnotherapy only further validated all of that for me. I was literally shown my birth mom, my birth father, who was what I would say a hybrided avatar, primarily of a reptilian avatar energy. I saw it. I saw his face when he did what he did to my birth mom. I saw all of it. And then I saw soul me up there, knowing that this is the reality I was incarnating into. Wild. So then there's been this whole part of me that's like, wow, like I'm part reptilian. And like, a lot of people hate the reptilians. A lot of people want to kill the reptilians. They want to banish the reptilians. That's I would say that is the 4D kind of perspective of the reptilian race, is that they're all evil beings that just need to be eradicated from the earth plane. And that's why it's been extra challenging for me to embrace this part of my avatar, okay? The reptilian is part of my avatar, the creation of this body, and an aspect of my soul, right? But to me, again, reptilian energy is fear consciousness. That's what it is in a body that resembles a reptile of some kind. Also, noting that I am Rh negative blood, so things that I have come across about Rh negative, all of this, it all connects and it all freaking makes sense. This avatar is like a hybrid, and it was an experiment, actually. What I was shown, from what I can remember right now, or that's coming back as I'm talking about it from my regression, is that my birth mom agreed to be like sort of a test subject, we'll say, with the Colombian government for money, and was like, you know, getting different like injections, and just like she believed what she was doing was like, she knew she was getting money from it, but the way it was sold to her, like how all of us are sold narratives, it's for the betterment of humanity, it's for evolution of medicine and blah, blah, blah. So she was part of this sort of experimenting kind of deal. And in that, one of these reptilian energies that is in a human body, but I would say definitely had also reptilian features. My birth father, I can see him very clearly right now. He was part of, the side of the government that had a different agenda. And like after one of her treatments, she was cornered by this individual and raped. And I was like brought to that very moment and shown that at that moment she knew she was impregnated by this being. Like it was like an instant, oh my God, it just got pregnant with this being. So needless to say, the 9 months she carried me, 8.5, I just heard, were tumultuous for her. And knowing what I know about energy and imprinting that happens to us when we're in the womb, whoa. There was a lot of fear imprinted into me while I was growing in her womb. And I have definitely been a very fearful individual my whole life. Very insecure and very afraid. Very afraid of this world. Very afraid of this world. Then I started going through my spiritual awakening 6 years ago, and holy shit, I'm like, no wonder why I'm afraid of this world. This world is ass backwards, inverted, upside down, inside out. There is so much darkness here. Oh my God, I must have known that my whole life. Because I literally was one of those kids. I could not watch the weather. I could not watch the news because I took it all in so much, and I would be in like a massive fear state. Basically what a lot of humans are in, they're just super unaware that like when they're taking all that in, that it is like amplifying fear energy within them. I was aware of it as a kid, and my mom picked up on it very quickly too, because she was like, you cannot watch the news, you cannot. And it was like, yeah, I know I can't, because it's like it puts me in a state of panic, almost paranoia, right? Not good. So yeah, I've definitely been an individual that has been fearful of life my whole life up until these last few years, and I'm starting to use fear as my ally and see it for the super potent teacher that it is. And the more I work with fear, the less fear controls me, and it's been beautiful. So I went through a pretty emotional month last month after the regression, and then losing my husband's mom, just feeling everyone's everything, my own, and like, whoa, a lot. And now my birthday is in 2 days, and I feel weird about it. I'm not dreading it. I'm not excited. I'm not in the space I was last year when I was like, oh my God, I'm not aging. Like I don't, it's a weird, I don't even know how to describe what I'm feeling about it. I don't want to celebrate it. I know that. And I don't know if that's just the human me that's processing my birthday, because I was brought to my physical birth in the regression. And it was not beautiful by any means. And everything that happened from there to the time I came to the States was not beautiful. I was an experiment. But we're all experiments. The earth plane is an experiment, and I know that. But it was like, wow, I'm like really an experiment. What I remember now, the things that were done to me because I was, again, remember, I was viewing this from my heart space, from my soul self, from source, from this very neutralized standpoint. It's like I was being studied. So I was being tortured to see how far I could be pushed. And in that time, I had 2 near-death experiences. One of those started coming back into my memory when I was at that retreat I mentioned in New Mexico. I was at a sound healing by myself, and I was remembering that I had a near-death experience when I was a baby. Well, I was shown both of them in the regression. Both times my soul was like, no, I'm staying in. This is why I really believe the soul chooses this, everything. I know it does. That's my truth anyways. So, I just kept seeing how like they were studying me because I was a hybrid, right? I was part human, part reptilian. I'm just going to say it. Like, there's this hesitation of me saying that because there's still so much stigma and judgment around the reptilian race. And I get it. But that's made it hard for me to forgive and accept and love that part of me. Because it's part of my avatar, part of my soul, but part of my avatar. Because outside of all of this, those labels, the reptilian label, even the human label, it's almost like they're non-existent. Like, we know they exist when we're out of this game, but yet they don't exist. It's very weird. And I feel other people that have had NDEs can maybe relate to what I'm saying. It's like the persona, all of the egoic personas that we create in our incarnations in the physical, they're like, they don't exist because they're all part of the one, right? So I have really tried embracing this truth, loving this truth, accepting this truth. But collectively, there is a lot of anger because a lot more people are waking up to these darker truths of the earth plane. And that is part of the awakening. There is a massive stage of anger that we go through. And it's like now the collective's anger is so amplified while I'm literally trying to work through my individual. It's tough. It's a challenge. But witnessing everything that I experienced in those first 14 months, never mind everything else I've experienced in my life from a traumatic standpoint, whoa, it gives me that trust that I can do it. I can navigate these difficult emotions. I have navigated such hard shit. I was even like remembering that when these things that were happening to me, like they were putting me in freezers. It was like all this weird thermoregulation experimentation they were doing on me, and in the process taking my fluids, right? And that's where the adrenochrome comes from. That narrative. It is very real. I don't care what anybody says. It is a very real reality on this earth plane. It's very real. But so my fluids, when I was going into these states of massive fight or flight, because I was being pushed to death, like to literally near-death experiences. And in that, the body releases all of these endorphins. And so the powers that be were taking that, and some individuals were using it for their own gain, just like it is still happening now. Other individuals that were working as like double agents were taking those fluids and using them as an antidote for fear. How wild is that? Wild. Sam is one of those people. And it also relates to our healing modality, the Monopoly of Light, that she got channeled 3 years ago to her for people that received the jab and have had the virus. And it was just like it all made sense when I was in this regression. It was like, even though I went through the darkest of the darkest realities and agendas and narratives that we've created here, I was still light. I still have my light. I still am light. Which means I can navigate any emotion and allow it to move through me, however many times I have to do that. So this anger and anxiety, it's like the double A seems to be like really loud in the collective consciousness and in my own internal world. Anxiety's been the name of my game from the time I entered this game. So a lot of people that are going through panic attacks and feelings of anxiety that maybe they've never embodied before, I am being able to show up for them because I've literally had panic attacks my whole life. I've literally been riddled with anxiety my whole life. And now, just like fear, because to me, anxiety is just a branch off of fear consciousness, I use it as an ally. It's a teacher. It's here to help me grow and provide that safe space for other people that have never experienced this. Right? So, as I say, and as I said in my other video I made about this, remembering, like, trauma can really become medicine for other people when we allow it to become our medicine first, meaning we have to move through the trauma and feel the trauma, understand the trauma, understand the energy driving the trauma, bring forgiveness to the energy that's driving the trauma. And in that, like, even as I say that, I feel, wow, Unity van just drove by. Like, legit. Like, you can't make this shit up. Even as I'm saying that, like, I feel empowered. I feel empowered by the trauma. It's so weird. Like, it's weird. So this whole roundabout story, come back to my birthday in 2 days. Maybe me just making this video is another layer of releasing, and come Friday I'll be like, let's party. Right? I don't know. We'll see. But I make this for multiple reasons, but to, once again, let's talk about the birthday. Let's talk about birth, rebirthing. I feel like I have rebirthed so many times in the last 6 years in this awakening, you know, cocooning butterfly, cocooning butterfly, cocooning butterfly. Ashes, now I'm the phoenix. Ashes, now I'm the phoenix. It's like rebirth after rebirth after rebirth. Every day is my birthday. Every freaking day is my birthday. Every day is everybody's birthday. We are waking up new every day. You may not think it because we're still attached to a lot of the same thoughts and a lot of the same beliefs and emotions, and especially when we're unaware that we're attached to them, we feel like, oh, it's Groundhog Day again. But literally, we are in a time of evolution. This entire game, this entire reality is evolving. That is why it is so chaotic. That is why the anger is so prevalent. That is why the anxiety is so loud in our bodies. This is evolution. It doesn't happen overnight. We don't just wake up and we're awake and we're healed. That's not how this works. That's not evolution. Evolution is a process. We're all in an evolving process. Every day is a rebirth. And when we're consciously starting to walk this path, sometimes every minute feels like a rebirth. Holy shit, it's wild. So, yeah, I just have a lot of weird feels about my birthday because it's like I'm processing everything that came through in the regression that I viewed from my heart space, but now my human is like, yo, like, that was some fucked up shit. And like, now you want to celebrate the day you came in? Really? And I hear my soul self go, now you celebrate it even more. Now you just gave your birthday even a deeper meaning. And I'm literally hearing Sam right now because she kept saying it when I was in the regression. You need to know you're more than an experiment. You need to know you're more than an experiment. You're more than just an experiment, because that's how I was seeing me. I was an experiment. They're like, ooh, let's see how long she can withstand the cold. Ooh, let's see how long she can withstand this. Ooh, and let's take some of the fluid that she releases, because there's some powerful energy in that. We're going to take that. We're going to take that. And they took it, because I gave it. And people will go, you didn't give it, you were a baby. I gave it because my soul incarnated into that reality. I gave it. Now I'm taking my light back from every aspect that I gave it away to. Now I reclaim my light. No one can take it from me unless I give it. And I'm consciously choosing now to really try my absolute hardest. I am still human. I will still fall into giving my power away to things. I know that. But I'm going to be more conscious about it. And the second I feel I'm giving my power away, I'm going to take it right back, because I'm a conscious creator and I can do that. You can do that. You can take your power back from any fucking situation that you've given it to. Anything that drains you, you can take your light back. Your light never went anywhere. My light never went anywhere. It was there watching the whole experience. That was what's wild about the regression. I saw my soul self present the whole time. My little baby avatar dropped into meditation many times. It was being traumatized. It was so wild, the way she knew how to protect herself. She dropped into like a meditative state while terrible things were happening to her. One last thing I'm going to add in that will blow some people's minds. Many people probably won't believe it. I don't really care, because it's part of all this. We're multidimensional beings. I know that. I've seen that in so many different ways, which is also why I, as the human self, was like, I'm breaking the illusion of space and time. Well, because I have. I've literally seen my soul, my consciousness, incarnated in many different avatars in this now reality. One of those being my birth mom. I was shown when I was regressed that my soul was my birth mom's soul. And I was even though I felt so much fear when I was in her womb, only she knew what we signed up for in this game. And when she was birthing me, when I was birthing me, sounds really fucking weird, I know. This me was so afraid to leave that me, because nobody was ever going to understand our story. Nobody was ever going to understand our mission. We were the only ones that knew. And so that is when my abandonment wound began. I felt like she abandoned me and I abandoned her. And she's me. I am her. We never went anywhere. Fucking crazy. I'm sweating right now in my car. So, there you go. Some weird, crazy shit. Just another day in the life of, this is what Sam and I say, S&M, Sam and Maria, our crazy shit that we go through, which really, ironically, doesn't even feel crazy to me anymore. It feels, actually, this is my normal. This is my normal. This is normal. But other people that this is not their normal, they're like, holy shit, she has lost her shit. She thinks she's her birth mom? What? No, I don't think it. I know it. I know it. With every fiber of my being. And so I had to know that to know, while I have felt betrayed and felt abandoned much of my life via external experiences, which I know all stem from how we feel internally, it was like I was shown that I never really abandoned myself. My soul was watching, has been watching, is watching everything. It's always been there. Your light never goes anywhere. Your soul never gets lost. The human, egoic, conditioned parts of us are what feel lost and get lost. The persona that we create in all of our roles and all the avatars. The soul is never lost. The soul is our home. The soul is always home. And the soul was so present, like cheering me on. The soul is what guided me to drop into meditation when I'm sitting in a freezer for 30 minutes. I just saw 36 minutes. In a freezer. Gave me a lot of understanding of why I hate the fucking cold now. But also gives me a lot of motivation to really want to do cold plunges. Because I gotta face that shit. I gotta realize I am stronger than my external environment. I am bigger than what's happening to me. And that is what my very wise baby self showed me. That no matter what they did to me, they weren't gonna break me. So whatever you're going through right now in your life, whatever they're doing to you, don't let it break you. You are so much bigger than your environment. You are so much stronger than what happens to you externally. We are so much more powerful than what is unfolding out there right now. We are. We don't believe that though. And so we give our belief, we give our power to all of those narratives, to all of everyone that we perceive outside of us. We give our power away. My shamanic teacher taught me a lot of important things, and some of those things have stuck, so they're so ingrained. And when we did soul retrieval and talked about soul loss and soul stealing, right, I can hear her to this day. Nobody can steal what you don't give away. People can't steal anything that we don't give to them. And there will be people that will fight this tooth and nail. I know. But remember what I said, that only 5% of our conscious awareness is awake. So we do a lot unconsciously and subconsciously. But it doesn't matter. We still do it. We still are giving our power to something or someone outside of us. So take your power back, people, because we're very powerful beings of light. No matter what avatar you're in, no matter what color, skin, no matter what gender you want to identify with nowadays, we're none of those things. Do you understand that? That's why the narrative of that, the gender thing, I'm just going to say it, is so, wow. Because the powers that be that want to control us and want us to keep giving our power to are creating a narrative that they're painting it as unity and be all inclusive, but really it's created just more confusion for humans to not know who they are. Because we identify with our gender, we identify with our race, we identify with all of these labels, and yet we're none of those things. None of them. That is not who we are. These are labels that were created off of programs that we created in this lower dimensional, dense, physical, beautiful reality. That's it. So, what beliefs do you give your power away to? What narratives do you give your power away to? What traumas do you give your power away to? You're giving your life force energy, your light, to these things, right? So there's less light in your body. So you start to feel like a shell walking around, because we kind of are. Because we've now said, okay, I don't, like, I'm going to just give my energy away to all these things until I, like, have no energy left, right? Meanwhile, our energy doesn't go anywhere. But we have drained the physical body of that soul self. And the soul self is legit, like, always right there with us. But the mind, the human mind, my friends, is a very, very potent, powerful tool. But it can also be a weapon when it's super unconscious, to put it that way. It can be a weapon for ourselves and other people when we're unconscious. It's basically what it comes down to. So the more conscious we become, the more we see the shadow. The more we're asked to drop into our heart space and see the shadow from the heart perspective. Not get all caught up in the shadow where now we become the shadow again, right? It's literally it is a balancing dance, let me tell you. It's like, let me see the shadow. Wow, true light. I kid you not. I'm literally sitting in my car, and like, as I'm saying certain things, these vehicles are driving by. A truck just went by that said true light. Like, come on, seriously? Because here's another thing. The shadow is an aspect of our light. The shadow is kind of it's an illusion. It's because once you shine light on it, it's no longer shadow. It's light, right? Wild. So here I am about an hour in, and I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better about my birthday in 2 days. Maybe in 2 days I'll want to celebrate it a little bit more than I do right now. But thank you for anybody that listens to this, because this was cathartic for me, and hopefully, you know, some of the pieces I shared are a message that someone out there needed to receive at this now time, in this now crazy, beautiful, wild reality that we're in, that we call the human journey. So yeah, love the shadow, my friends. Not easy, because the shadow part of us don't want to love the shadow, which is why the more conscious you become, the more you place intention. It's all intention. It's all intention. Start setting the intention to love your dark side. Love the dark side of the earth plane. Love the fear. That is the only way we alchemize it. That is how we set it free. That is how I set the reptilian bloodline free. I see you. I see your shadow, but I see your light too. I see you. It's like Avatar. I see you. I'm not afraid of you. I'm here to love you. I love you.